Hello guys, traffic encryption is one of the most powerful techniques to evade network analyzer or intrusion prevention sensors. The idea here is to mask our clear text traffic so it will be nonsense to anyone in the middle who's watching the traffic. And to do so, we will build a basic XOR encryption in Python. Now the question you might be asking, why XOR? Why not just creating an SSH or HTTPS shell, since these protocols provide encryption by design? Well, the idea is I do not recommend to use this technique because many enterprise network, they have like decryption device like next generation firewall where it can terminate SSL and SSH and convert traffic into clear text before passing that traffic to IPS sensor for inspection. So using SSL or SSH to protect our shell might not be an added value here. Now on the other side, implementing XOR encryption is very easy and straightforward. First, we will generate a random key which will be used for XOR encryption. So the key size is going to be 1 kilobyte, which if you remember in our TCP shell, it matches the TCP socket size. Okay, so let's say that we have a message that we want to send to our target. Before sending this message to the network socket, we're gonna pass this message to a function that it will read every single character of that message, and it will do an XOR operation with the key that we have generated in order to generate an encrypted message. Now in XOR, the exact operation is gonna be happening for the decryption. In XOR, the same exact operation is gonna happen for the decryption. Now on the receiver side, when we get this encrypted message, we're gonna pass this encrypted message to the same function, and that same function is gonna do XOR operation to this encrypted message as well as to the key that we have generated, and the output is gonna be the clear text message. Alright, let's have a look on the coding part. Okay, so let's have a quick look on the source code part. First, we started with importing random as well as a string library so we can generate a random string for our key. Now this line here means generate a random key that contains lowercase and uppercase and digits as well as a bunch of special characters. And the for loop here defines the key size, which is in our case 1024. And finally, the .join function is gonna gather the result in a sequence of a string. And finally, after we generate this random key, we're gonna store it in a variable called key. Now, once we do that, we just print out the actual key as well as the key length. So before moving on, let me just try to run this script really quick. So let me just get rid of this, and I will just go ahead and comment the other lines. So let me just type run and run module, and here it is. You can see this is our key, and the key length is 1024 bytes. Okay, so right now let's do an XOR operation on a simple string like ipconfig with the key that we just generated. Now what we need to do, I have created a separate function called XOR function that will do the actual encryption as well as decryption. So what we need to do is to pass the message as well as the key to this function. Now this function will do as I said, will do the actual both encryption as well as decryption for us. So after we pass the message and the key, the zip function will extract each character from the message as well as from the key and store them in a variable C1 and C2. So the idea here is to take each character individually and convert them into an integer using the OR function. Now once they are converted into integer, we can now perform the XOR operation on them. And after we finish the XOR operation, we just convert them back into character. Okay, so let's try and trace the execution of this function. As I said, we're gonna encrypt the message which is called ipconfig with the key that we just generated. So the S1 is going to contain the message, and the S2 is going to contain the actual key. Now the output of the zip function, the C1 is going to contain the first letter of the message, which is going to be the I letter, and the C2 is going to be the first character of the key that we just generated here. Now we will convert them into an integer, do an XOR, and then convert them back into character, and one more time the .join function will gather the result into a sequence of a string. Now after we finish with the first character, the for loop is gonna jump to the second character and then the third character until we finish the entire message here. So after we finish the encryption, we just print out the encrypted version, and then as I said, the XOR operation is exactly when we do the encrypt or decrypt. But the only difference is that when we want to encrypt, we pass the message in clear text as well as the key. But when we want to decrypt, we pass the encrypted message as well as the key. So after we do encryption, we will reverse the logic and do decryption and finally print out the decrypted version. So let me go ahead and try to run the script. Okay, so I will just go ahead and type run. We can see here, this is our key, this is the key length, this is the message that we want to encrypt, this is the encrypted message, and finally the decrypted message. Now notice, because we are using a random, each time we run the script, we're gonna get a different key. So if I go ahead and type run one more time, and as you notice, the key is different because we are using a random string to generate that key. Now as an exercise, please try to integrate this XOR with our previous shell, and make sure that once you generate your XOR key, make sure that the same key is hard-coded in your Kali Linux script as well as the Windows script. Otherwise, you will not be able to decrypt this message. Hope that this lecture has been informative for you, and thanks for watching.